So today is January 18th. I'm actually recording on the 18th. What? I know. Um as far as transition stuff goes, I have not got an official surgery date, but I do have a estimation of a surgery date that is probably my surgery date, and it is for basically literally the day after my quarter ends right now. When they originally called me about it, they were asking to do it like much sooner than I was expecting, but I already had started school for the quarter. My financial aid had already been dispersed. It would have been extremely expensive for me to attempt to undo all of that. So I couldn't take that one. They had someone essentially cancel. Uh, don't know why someone would cancel, but they did. So they were trying to fill that slot, and I wish I could have taken it. But unfortunately, I could not. So the next option is hopefully toward the end of March, and that's not that far. That's pretty acceptable, you know. So they said that they have to make sure that everyone can be there that day, and because it's not just my surgeon but also like the microsurgeon stuff. But they did schedule me an appointment with the microsurgeon to have a consultation, and that will be in February. And so that's a really good sign because that means that microsurgeon is probably also available that day, which means uh I might be having surgery, like for reals. I just need to know if it's for real. They're, I think, checking with like two more things or whatever. But yeah, as far as why it took so long for them to make um any kind of scheduling, they apparently had input all of the stuff to insurance, but with a missing code. And so, because there was this CDT code, whatever it was, that was missing, insurance was like, well, it's sort of approved, but sort of we need the code. So they fixed that and things are moving forward. Yay! That's wonderful. I I just am so relieved, like deeply, deeply relieved. But yeah, it once insurance was like, okay, yeah, this is an acceptable course, we're gonna go ahead and get this going. um they were talking about surgery being so much sooner than I thought it was going to be, which is a relief. I would much prefer that. So I may, okay, very likely am going to be taking spring quarter off from both colleges for medical leave. I just need to know the exact dates and be able to get a letter from the surgeon's office, and then yeah, I will be able to get this surgery. My roommate was like, "Oh dang, it's so soon," you know. Thankfully we are moved, and I'm already prepared for a lot of things. I have arm sleeves for helping with compression for my arm after the surgery is done already, that I asked for Christmas a couple of years ago or a year ago, or I don't remember when. But the point is someone gave me that. I still have my wedge pillow from when I had the previous surgery, and it has like pull apart parts. I'm not allowed to be at more than a 30-degree angle, but I am allowed to have like my head lifted a little bit or something. So it's not, while I say for a month I'm going to be flat on my back, in actuality it's more going to be almost flat, and then on top of that, the first week I'm in the hospital, like full on. So there's also that. I'll have to do like a bunch of physical therapy stuff and everything, and I already got a couple of I have a stress ball, and that's something that I've been told will be helpful. But something else for relearning to use my left hand, I have two of these. They're different like weights. So like this one is super easy. Like crazy easy. I'm sure it won't feel that way after the surgery, but the other one is slightly more difficult to help build hand strength back up after the surgery and make sure that I will be able to use both my hands again, just as much as possible. From everything that I've looked at for it, the physical therapy and the exercises really make a super noticeable difference, not only with getting your strength back in your arm, but also, well, and your hand, but also with the swelling. It helps reduce the swelling that builds up in the hand. I don't, if I can help it, want to be someone who has like permanent swelling in my hand. I would like to avoid that if at all humanly possible. But yeah, I was talking, you know, and the surgeon basically was like, even if the other surgeon who does the urethral lengthening isn't available 6 months from now and wants to wait like 8 months or something, that my surgeon will still go and finish the making everything look more correct and giving me, a ball sack and all of that stuff. So, um, they're like ready to actually go with the timeline. And I have been in limbo, like stuck in this ambiguous, arbitrarily long wait for so long that having them talking about like actual timelines feels like this massive relief. It is huge. I can plan my life a little bit. If that surgery is 6 months after this one, then that would put me right at the tail end of August for when the surgery lands, which would be really kind of perfect because it would be right before school started back up for fall quarter in September, and it would be after summer quarter finishes. So I'm all for that. That sounds amazing. Let's do it. It would give me, at least a couple of weeks to recover before school started up, and I would be very, very happy about that for sure. As far as that goes, though, that means hoping that there's no complications. And the way my body works, I don't know if that's possible, but I really, 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 really hope so because I have been waiting and waiting and waiting for so long. Once I recover from this surgery, once I've done my physical therapy and stuff, actually during partway into my physical therapy and stuff, I won't even have to wait the whole time. I can start exercising more again. I don't have to stay this overweight anymore. The overweightness was very important for this surgery, but all the surgeries going forward, it's not important at all. So it's also going to change my lifestyle to be one that I'm more comfortable with, and I'll be able to have a body that I'm more comfortable with, without intentionally trying to stay heavy. On top of that, I'll be whole for the first time in my life, and that it could only be just a couple of months from now. Like, I I will finally get the chance to undo what was done to me when I was little, and be a whole person for the first time in my life. It's a big deal for me, and I won't have to stay in the position that I'm in where I cannot look between my legs at all. Like it absolutely terrifies me. It it's gonna just look like a tube at first, kind of a thing, but that's okay. That's fine. It'll be there. I don't mind that at all. I already can't look at myself down there, so if I need to not look at myself down there for a little longer, that's fine. And maybe it'll be less horrible feeling than now, so that's fine by me too. Um, but yeah, I'm very excited. I'm excited that not only is it happening, but also that there will be for sure a microsurgeon. I really wanted to have nerve hooking up and to have as much sensation as possible down there because I have nerves. I apparently have a whole big bundle of nerves. They're all just under the skin because of how cleanly things were cut when I was little. Like it was a straight line, and then they just stitched it. And so all those nerves under there are all just like completely attachable. Um and instead of having like this big large androgynous zone where if enough pressure builds up anywhere in that whole area I can climax, they'll be attached up, and hopefully sensation will go quite directly into the phallus, and it'll be a lot more like normal, or normalized, more predictable climaxing, instead of the pressure in the same way. Um, and there'll be a lot more of a focus for all of that sensation. That would be really cool. I know that's what like a lot of women have told me they have with like their clitoris and stuff. So I don't have that option, but I will hopefully develop that option because the microsurgeon is going to be involved. And that's exciting to experience intercourse in a way that is more, I guess, natural or whatever to how humans normally experience it instead of being this outlier person in every way. um I've, I've had intercourse obviously a zillion times in my life. Well, okay, not a zillion, but I've had intercourse before more than once, but it's always been it's always been a little bit degrading, and I feel like it'll it'll be like empowering. It'll feel like really really like not just good because you climax, but good because I'm climaxing in a very human way. And I'm very very excited to feel the weight down there of something that I can see instead of my brain feeling the weight down there of something that I can't see because I've always had a phantom limb phallus down there. And my brain never adjusted to the fact that things were removed down there, and it didn't understand. Like I can remember even when I was a little toddler not understanding why I didn't look like my brothers. Um and I didn't look like the other little girls either necessarily. So that was just weirdness. But I didn't wonder, well, why don't I look more like the other little girls? What I wondered is, why do I not look like my brothers? Like I didn't understand where is it? I don't understand. Um I I'm not gonna have that issue anymore. And the plan is still to try for 6 inches because my brain thinks it's 6.5. So if that actually manages to happen, which there is no way to guarantee that, it's impossible for a surgeon to guarantee that. But the fact that he's going to try for that instead of 5.5 is tremendous for me because again, I've said this before in other videos, but like after about a year, gravity usually makes it drop like about half an inch. Um, Me starting at a heavier weight also means that over time it slowly does get lose a slight bit of its girth for a lot of men, and they either have to go do bulking later on or else accept that that's going to happen. Me starting with it a little extra girthy or whatever means that will hopefully not be too huge of a concern going forward. But my brain does definitely. I don't think of myself as having like this really long, phallus. Like some guys, they're like, man, if you're gonna build me one, build it all the way. I want the 12 incher, the 10 incher, or whatever. I want it to be what my brain thinks I have. But it has always been a little thicker. So hopefully it stays that way. That would be nice. But that's a really long down the road issue. that is hopefully going to be semi prevented by the plans for things right now, which is very, very exciting because my life's been hard enough. It's been hard enough. I don't need more difficulties if it can be helped. I am really excited that they said that the first whole week I'm going to be at the hospital and stuff because that makes me feel like a little bit less of a burden to my roommate who's going to help take care of me. But also, if there is a complication, they'll hopefully catch it like right away. Because again, if we can avoid complication issues, my timeline is like really perfect for school. Um, and obviously suits me really a lot too. I want that timeline. Um, because I don't want any extra delays. Every extra month that goes by feels horrible for me. So staying to the schedule is like good for my peace of mind, just in general, even besides that it happens to land at a pretty good spot for like going to school. For the biggest thing though, if the nurses are there, or the doctors are there, they can catch any complication, fix it right away or whatever. That also just makes things safer. So I'm really good with being there for a week. And then I'll have 3 weeks of laying essentially flat on my back. Again, I can be at up to a 30-degree angle. And then after that, I'll be able to start like it sitting up, but I have to also lift up the phallus so that it can keep getting blood flow. It's extremely important to me that my phallus has blood flow, proper blood flow. So, um, I'm giving up a blood vessel from my arm for my phallus. I want it to be healthy. So I'm planning on still trying to lay down as much as I can. But I also am a very active person and I am probably going to be a little stir crazy. But basically, I either need to stand completely straight up and down, no bends, no nothing, or else lay completely flat, no bends, no nothing. And the only time I can not do that is to go to the bathroom. And if I'm not going potty fast enough, I have to wait. Like, I cannot be sitting there waiting to go to the bathroom. I have to be either standing or go lay back down. Um, so that's gonna be really strange. Apparently, the first like 3 weeks to a month, getting help with showering is actually really difficult as well because of the way everything has to be set up to take a shower. And you have to be so careful and stuff like that. My plan for the first like at least week, probably 2 weeks, is to just do the whole sponge bathing thing with baby wipes and stuff. I feel like I can take a shower, like a real one, later. And we did that before with my previous two surgeries, and it worked really well. Um, so I feel like, I can handle a little bit of my own BO smell. What I can't handle is anything happening to the healing process. And nothing bad happened. So I figure that's probably the plan of action for this time too. The phallus itself is going to be in a little teepee thing at first, which I think is hilarious. Your PP goes in the teepee, but whatever. But eventually that'll, not be on there anymore. I do think it's incredible that you can have the bag taken off before you leave the hospital. You're only there for a week, but they take your pee bag out, and that's like wow. Um, I'm very excited for when it's done. Like when I'm doing like exercising and I can feel the weight of it there. When I pull on my underwear and I'm like, you know, uh, I'm extremely excited like for that whole all of it. And I know some guys worry about having a bulge. I'm like, screw it. If I have a bulge, I have a bulge. People can enjoy that I have a phallus as much as I do. I don't know. I don't care. I'm like, screw it. I'm happy to have a bulge if I have a bulge, whatever. I'm not worried about like people thinking I'm weird or something because I have like a bulge down there in my clothing or something. That's just not a concern of mine. Um I really really am also looking forward to feeling less ashamed of what's going on down there period by having this. Um I've been thinking a lot about it, and I haven't been dating like at all. Um like there was that girl who flirted with me at the conference for 3 days straight, and I did not take her to dinner. Her mom flat out told me that she wanted to make dinner plans, and I still didn't do it. And I mean, how that's pretty freaking blatant, right? Um, I think I've been worried about having any kind of romantic relationship because of how ashamed I felt about what would she see, whoever she was, if I dated someone under my clothes. Like, if I can't stand looking at myself, I definitely wouldn't want like some pretty girl to look at myself down there. Like, I don't want anyone to see what's going on, especially someone I would like actually be attracted to. So I'm thinking that once I start exercising and stuff and I start feeling a lot better, that maybe I'll consider dating. But in reality, am pretty sure when I would consider dating would probably be more after the surgery that hopefully would be at the summer surgery. Because that one, everything will look more normal and stuff, and hopefully urethral attachment will happen. I won't have to wait for that. But especially that, especially that, you know, yeah, I'll have some scars, but whatever. Scars are kind of like whatever to me. I already have scars from the life that I've unfortunately had to lead. So it's kind of like my body's my body's taken a beating a lot in life. So it's like scars or whatever. Um what's really more important to me is that if say someone attractive was, with me alone, that there wouldn't be something derailing the moment, the attraction to each other, like them being like thrown off because maybe I didn't look what they were expecting or something. Um like that's a pretty, vulnerable moment when you're naked with someone. So, um whether it's for like intimacy reasons or it's just like, some quickie thing, it's still very personal. And so I have been feeling like, well, maybe I, I mean, my roommate keeps telling me I need to date. So maybe that would be the thing that would make it feel like, okay, maybe I could. I also, I also feel like, now that I'm at two colleges, maybe my options will expand, starting next year as far as dating goes. Also, hopefully, this guy who keeps stalking me, maybe he'll have graduated or something, and I won't have to be afraid of him on campus anymore, and my confidence can go up some from that, because that whole thing is just a giant disaster for me, and it's just terrible. Like, the entire situation is really really bad. He has gone on to hurt other people, and he's still not in any trouble, even though they're like staff. Um, I don't know what his magical powers are, but he just keeps getting away with really, really, truly terrible things, like full on threatening people, and I don't get it. And he full on said that part of the threat was involving me, and no one took it seriously still. He keeps doing this crap, and it's just not important to them at all. So that sucks. Technically, the investigation is still open into whether they think I'm a bad person, which is frustrating. But they said they have no intentions of reopening anything in regards to whether he's a bad person. Um, Even though there's two people that they could talk to and find out very quickly bad things he's done, they're just not interested. They don't care. As far as I can tell, they really, really just think I'm like either like crazy and delusional or something, or else that I am like malicious and made it all up to be like a bully. And I don't understand that because it's so uncharacteristic of me, but they just seem to genuinely feel that way. And there's someone who told them that. And that's very, very hard for me. But I have no intentions of being a less loving person. And all of this has been highly unpleasant. And I am currently taking 6 classes to be working as much as possible with my 2 jobs and doing schoolwork as much as possible with all these classes so that I don't have as much time to think about the situation. But um, once I get through this quarter, being able to just take off a quarter for medical reasons might actually be really like a relief for me. Unfortunately, I went to the school counselor because she just got back. She's been gone for a long time, it's been like over 8 months or something. And she called my psychologist, and my psychologist basically had just had surgery 2 days before. And I had told my counselor, don't bother her. She's had surgery. She's not going to be available until the very, very end of January. And she called her and was like, we need to make a coordinated plan of action for how to help him. And so then my psychologist called me all angry and said some things that I'm hoping were because she was in pain trying to recover. And but yeah, I might have to get a new one because that was not a very okay phone call for me at all. Um, on the plus side, as much as I have been scared of trusting people that they really do care and that they mean it when they say things, um, I've been a person who's helped a lot of people and a lot of students and been part of a lot of events and stuff, and they are throwing together a big giant luncheon thing next Friday, and part of the reason for doing it is to honor me. And there's a whole bunch of people from like the district and from the schools stuff that that really wanted to do that for me, and I was very touched. Um, they actually, when they invited me, called me beloved. Like they said, beloved, my name. Will you please come? We want to honor you, kind of a thing. It'll make everything so much more meaningful if you come in person. Um, it was very, very touching. Like, I really needed that because there's been some people trying to convince me to drop out of school, and I've thought about it, but I don't want to. This guy's already taken like everything from me for the most part, and this is like my home. Like this is my family. And so I don't want to just give that up. I don't want to just throw away all of the good relationships that are there just because there's a couple of people I have to avoid actively on campus. And I've come to the conclusion that if people are okay with me not being okay, if they're comfortable with me coming to harm and dismissive of that, then they didn't want a real relationship with me in the first place. And so, unfortunately, I'm avoiding multiple people. But in reality, that that's better than some things. Giving up my entire support system and all of the people who genuinely do seem to care, who have told me straight up, no, nothing you do is invasive. Why are you even asking that? Like, of course we love you. Of course we care about you. Um, my family at the school is very precious to me. And so I have no intentions of dropping out. When I committed to getting this degree, I meant it. And when I committed myself to doing this work, I meant it. And when I committed to myself to these relationships, I meant it. Even if it turns out that there's some people that were lying and they didn't mean the relationship and it was all fake to them, that doesn't change that it was real to me. And that I was being honest and that I was trying to do the right thing. So that's where I'm at with that. If someone wants to malign me, I have a lot of people that are there that I don't think would believe the terribleness and the lies that are being put forth about me. So I don't want to drop out. I don't. I I feel like none of this would have happened at all if I wasn't a guy. But unfortunately, that's just how society works, as far as I can tell. And it really sucks. Um, as someone who has been preyed upon, like in a sexual manner, I was preyed upon. I mean, even besides other situations, for 2.5 years. Um, by my mother's husband when I was a teenager. I also, when I was in my first relationship, it was with a woman who definitely was preying on me because I was 19 and she was in her 40s, and she knew exactly what she was doing. uh, it's very frustrating for me when people make false accusations just to skirt around something against someone, because it makes it harder for people who have real things that happen to them. And um, when people lie like this, it makes it harder for actual victims to get believed. And even besides that, it hurts my feelings. It hurts everybody in the overarching system overall. And it makes things worse for everybody when people do this crap. It's very distressing. But what can I do? Except keep leading with my convictions. Keep doing the best that I know how to do the all the time. That's all I can do. When I think about it, I think it would be nice to get away from this guy, especially. I mean, even besides the whole rest of the situation, I don't actually hate her. I hope she has a good life. I just don't want to be anywhere near her. Um, as soon as this investigation closes and they don't need evidence anymore, I am disconnecting from her, unfriending her on literally everything. She can go power trip somewhere else, I guess. But him, I get genuinely terrified of him. Um, if I have the surgery, and I get to take, you know, some time off for that surgery, that's probably for the best. It'll give me space away from having my nervous system lit up all the time. And then I'll be taking some summer classes, but summer classes at that specific school are always online. Um, they don't do in person during the summer. At my other school at the university, I'll do some in person stuff, but as far as this school goes, it'll just be online. So that'll give me a solid, like, 6-ish months of not being around this guy at all. And then, I'll have my second surgery hopefully on time, and then start up in the fall quarter. And maybe he'll have graduated or something, and I will never have to see him again. I would really, really love if I never had to see that guy again. That would be amazing. Um, Genuinely amazing. He's like a pretty nefarious person, but um, I don't want to not be around my support system, and so I will still be like trying to stay in contact with peeps who actually care about me. And during the summer, I'll still work. I really, really love my coworkers a lot, and I feel like there's some sort of a plan of action. There's some sort of a schedule. There's a timeline. There's a way that things can work out. As long as my surgery really is when the surgeon's office is tentatively saying it will be. Hopefully, the anesthesiologist and all the nurses and all the peoples, they can get them all coordinated, and it can be a definite for sure. Yes, we're gonna do it then. That would be amazing. So hopefully that's what happens, because it would actually work out in more than just the surgery. Not that the surgery isn't enough by itself, because it is, but it would work out even more. So um, I'm really, really looking forward to my consultation with my microsurgeon, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, being able to just like move forward in life and not stay stuck in this limbo that I've been in while I'm waiting for the electrolysis on my arm. Don't know if you can see the sorry, I was leaning on my desk right here, so that's not a scar, that's just an imprint. But like the difference in arms, like I don't know if you can see how hairy versus not hairy. Um this whole process has been like nuts. It's been such a long wait. And I feel like I've been waiting my whole life to actually start having my life. And I feel like recovering from the surgery and getting through to the other side is this big marker, this threshold that I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for. And on the other side of it, I'll finally be able to be my best self. And I've been trying and trying to be the best person that I know how to be, while not being able to be my best self. And I feel like it's finally getting closer. It's finally almost here. That maybe, just maybe, maybe my life doesn't have to be such a hellscape. Maybe I can meet people who can be actually caring and loving in a more, close way than just the family that I've built up having here at this school, but like have like more, you know, deep, deep, deep interpersonal relationships, and maybe even, have someone fall in love with me and me be in love with them, and us have this mutual relationship that I've always dreamed of, um, but felt like was just not possible no matter how hard I tried. But also, I mean, I've never felt like a whole person, so maybe that's part of the problem. How can you have a truly mutual relationship with someone who feels like a whole person and you don't. But I'm I wish I could say, oh yeah, for sure, all scheduled surgeries for sure going to happen on this day. Ah, I that's the estimate of the day. It's not 100% in the books. But my consultation with my microsurgeon is in the books in February. On February 5th, 6th, something like that. So that's for reals. And they are planning on having it in the spring, and it just might be the end of March. So please, please, universe, please.